answering your tough financial questions for the past 26 years. It's Allworth's Money Matters with co-hosts Scott Hansen and Pat McClain. Can't get enough of Allworth's Money Matters? Visit allworthfinancial.com/radio to listen to the Money Matters podcast.
Welcome to Allworth's Money Matters. I'm Scott Hansen.
I'm Pat McClain.
Glad you are with us as we talk about financial matters here. Both myself and my co-host, we are both financial advisors, certified financial planner, chartered financial consultant. We spend our weekdays with people like yourself, and we have our show coming out on the weekends so that we are your financial advisors on the air. And if you want to be part of our program, we love taking calls. And by the way, some of you are, maybe the majority of you are listening to us via podcast, and you could always schedule time to be on our program if you just email questions@moneymatters.com. Again, that's questions@moneymatters.com.
And what happens is then we just schedule a time where you can be on the show. And that way you don't have to call and wait in line or any of that.
Yeah.
It's quick and easy.
We'll record it. It's not broadcast live, just like Judge Judy.
Yes.
Schedule ahead of time. Might do a couple tapings in a day. They schedule the stuff ahead of time.
By the way, what a fascinating career that lady has led. And actually, one of the highest earners in television is Judge Judy Scheinlin.
And she seems like such a pleasant woman.
Does she really?
I've never actually watched an episode.
I've watched it. I'm not going to.
Yeah, I got to tell you, my wife said to me the other day, she says, I miss Live PD. I wish that kid bring back Live PD.
Your wife said that.
I said,
That'd be the last person in the world that I would think that would watch Live PD is your wife.
I think she liked watching Live PD.
Really? That just surprises me. Your wife is so demure and nice and like that is like...
I don't know. I guess it's one of those things like...
I wish...
I'm glad I'm not that messed up. I guess. I don't... I mean, there's always part of...
Your wife is... I wish for world peace, the coronavirus to go away, and Live PD.
I don't think it's in her morning prayers.
Well, she didn't say I pray for Live PD to come back. She said I wish.
Okay.
Anyway.
She might have been kind of... I don't think she was joking because... I don't know why we're talking about that at the start of this program.
I have got to tell you, I have been watching a tremendous amount of documentaries. And I've used up almost all the documentaries on Netflix, Amazon.
Are you kidding me?
Watch a lot of documentaries.
That is a lot of documentaries.
Does
your wife enjoy watching the documentaries?
No, we don't.
In different rooms?
Well, yeah, she gets in front of the TV and watches something that I just cannot watch, and then I go to my room and watch on my iPad. I watch documentaries.
Sounds like I got this big fancy TV and all that stuff, and I watch on my iPad.
Yeah, that's me.
Headphones.
That's me.
Which is fine enough for me. I get in my armchair, I'm good. I just say, bring me some more popcorn.
That's what I yell. Someone rub my feet. Is that how it works?
Oh, yeah. It's no problem.
The kids run over.
Life goes
yes,
so
Daddy,
well.
Yes,
All right.
rub your feet.
We better get serious. And we have some calls here. We'd love to take calls. 833-99-WORTH. And let's start off here with Jeff. Jeff, you're with Allworth Money Matters.
Hey, Allworth. This is Jeff, and I'm going to be retiring from the CalPERS system in January of next year. And as part of that system, I have a number of options that I can elect for whether I want to have money for my spouse in the event of my untimely death.
Yep.
I can take an unmodified allowance, get the full amount that I'm owed, or I can take $100 less a month to insure against the contributions I've made into the system, which at this point are about $735,000. So I wanted to find out from you guys what your thoughts are on the different options. Once an option is selected, it's permanent. There's no going back and and redoing it. So I just want to make sure that I am making a smart decision.
Yep.
All right.
It's a big decision.
It's probably one of the largest financial decisions that you'll make in your lifetime, and it's completely irrevocable. So don't worry about it. So here's what you have to think of is you have to think of this decision in context of everything else in your life. And so the drivers behind this decision is primarily health, longevity, and the other assets if you couldn't replace this, right? Because to the pension plan itself, and this is, we're talking about CalPERS, but this exists in every pension plan, defined benefit pension plan. The number is the same to the pension administrator based on normal life expectancies. 100% the same. You take option 1 or option 7, they don't care because actuarially speaking, the number is the same. Now, in saying that, how is your health and how is your spouse's health?
So we're both in good health. I'm just on a couple of medications for minor issues, but nothing really, nothing serious.
And family longevity? Both your side of
both
family?
Of our parents. Yeah, we're both about 50 years old, and both sets of parents are still with us, thank God, and doing pretty well.
Okay, and is your home paid for?
We have about $185,000 left to pay off. We've got about $1 million in equity.
And how old are you?
I'm 51.
You a firefighter or a police officer?
Yes, one of those.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what other money is saved in either your 457 or 401k?
So between the 457 and the 401, I've got a 401a. Between those two accounts, we have about $1 million saved in those accounts. And then in other investments, we have probably about $100,000 to $150,000.
Are the kids out of the house? Assuming they are kids, are they out?
We've got 3. Our oldest is about to move out, and then we've got 2 kids that are still in the house with us right now.
And do you plan on going back to work?
Yeah, into a different career field, but yeah, I'm still planning to work after my CalPERS retirement, and my spouse is also planning to start working again after raising.
What do you think you should do?
I think that I should take the unmodified allowance and then purchase insurance to protect the $735 that I've put into the system, and also protect my spouse in the case of my death. But I think that we're better off taking the full amount for the rest of my life, and then we do have options going forward. We can always increase or decrease our insurance as life events change, which I just don't like being locked into a lower amount.
Have you? So if you do this, you really need you really need like a whole life insurance or a fully paid up universal life. Have you priced those?
Jeff, did someone come and present this concept to you?
Well, nobody specifically. It's just something that my dad's pretty good with finances, and I've talked to a lot of the people who've gone down the road that I'm going down, and this is one of the options that they mentioned.
I wish you could have seen the look on both of our faces when you said that, because we're not big fans of that.
You wouldn't feel the same. Well, there's 2 things that happen. There's 2 things that happen. One is what's the monthly amount of your unmodified pension?
It's about going to be about $15,000, just a little bit more than that.
Okay, and then what is the amount of the fully modified pension that your spouse would receive the same amount as you at your death?
I'm sorry, what's the amount of
the monthly? So
how much reduction?
It's like 80/80 is what it will look like on the thing, or 82/82. It should be around $13,000 a month, right?
Okay, so if I pass away first, there's a number of different options, like a 50% option.
Give us the joint 50%.
Yeah. Let's start with the joint 50.
Okay, so I could do a 50% to beneficiary, and I would get about $14,000. My spouse would get $46.45, and then because of the system that I'm in, regardless of whether or not I put her on I make her a beneficiary, she'll still be my survivor, and she'll get $47.21 regardless.
Got it.
If I pass away.
So even if you did it 100% unmodified, she still gets $4,700 a month?
That's correct. Yes.
So the challenge. So when let like the one you said is 15,000. If you take a joint and 50%, it's 14,000. So think about this. You're paying $1,000 for life insurance, right, to protect this pension. But you're doing so.
What's that?
No, go ahead.
Right. So you're taking a reduced amount in order to provide an income stream when you're dead. That's life insurance, right? It's just in the form of a pension here.
Right.
When you do it within a pension, like this reduced amount, you're not taxed on that difference. If you take the unmodified at 15 grand, you're not going to net $1,000 after taxes. You're in a high tax bracket,
and you're in the state of California, so you're going to net 600,
$650. So you're already.
Well, we're correcting our living situation. We'll be moving out of state here in the not too distant future.
Okay, so you're at $750, but the point is when you try to buy insurance on the outside, you have to do it with after-tax dollars. So it's a big hurdle. Here's why I'm not a big fan of this life insurance. Every time I hear this, there's a woman's face who comes to my mind. And when I was the first year in this business, I met this couple. They were introduced to me. He was a retired principal from a school district, took a full-size pension and life insurance. He died, so his pension stopped. There was not nearly enough life insurance to provide for her income needs. And she became a client, and navigating her portfolio through all the different market cycles that have happened over the years, I swear to you, every time there's a bad period in the markets, her face comes to my mind, and I worry about her more than any other client I've had in my career. So maybe I'm biased here.
Well, I'm biased as well because I actually had someone that took this before they had ever met me and couldn't afford the premium payments on the policy.
Seen that as well.
Because the premium payments kept going up.
Because they didn't buy a whole life and this term insurance.
No, they bought whole life, but it was mispriced. So
a universal life.
So Jeff, what's the amount where if you and your spouse would get equal amounts, what's that dollar amount on a monthly basis?
Okay, let me see. That would be where we would get equal amounts on a monthly basis?
Yeah, before and after death. What's that monthly pension be?
Let me take a look here. That would be, okay, so that would be 100% beneficiary with allowance increase. Okay, so what did I have the numbers now?
What's the monthly amount there? The dollar amount?
So the monthly amount would be, it'd bring it down to $13,448.
Okay, here's the answer. That's the one you're going to pick. Don't mess with the rest of it. We are talking about a 10%, 13% reduction, 14%. It's almost immaterial to your net worth and the net present value of these dollars over your lifetime. So you're 51 years of age.
Not only that, you're going to end up with some other career.
You're going to end up doing something else. You obviously have a higher position in whether one of the safety jobs you've had because you're a hard worker and you've worked your way up. I have a feeling you're the kind of person that's going to be working hard the next decade, Mike. Yeah, and so I wouldn't even. I think we're rounding at the edges here. You've got $1,150,000 in 457s, 401ks, 401as, and investments. You've got $850,000 in your home that you're going to move out of state, and you can move to a small state like Missouri, and you could buy like a county for that. And then you've got a pension of $13,500 almost $13,000, and you've got an accelerated. You've got a cost of living adjustment, and so why we're even having this discussion about you going out into the open market?
The cheapest insurance is doing it through your plan. Yeah. It's not in the open market.
Yeah,
It really is.
Okay.
The cheapest insurance is through this plan here.
Yeah, and then tell your wife how much you love her, and that's why you decided and you changed your mind and make it all about you and her, and nothing about. Oh, she's there.
Should have had her excuse herself from the room.
Well, though, I mean, there's a good chance that your standard of living is going to be higher 5 or 10 years
I'm
from
gonna bet
now.
on it. I'll bet on it.
And so I mean, if you this is an unmodified, the life insurance needs is going to be even greater. And you won't be able to afford it. It'll be the premium will be so shockingly high. You're like, I can't pay $1,500 a month for life insurance.
Yeah, and so just do this and call it a day. And by the way, we have retired many safety workers from the state, county, municipalities, law enforcement, Department of Corrections, and I've never had one under the age of 55 that didn't go back to work. We've never had one under the age of that did not go back to work. And normally what they'll do is they'll like jump to another municipality, put in their 5 or 10 years, vest again. You know the drill.
Yeah, there's lots of things you can do. Yeah.
You know the drill.
Sure.
So you worked hard, enjoy it. The decision's made. We're done.
Okay, great. Hey, thank you, fellas. I really appreciate it.
Glad you called.
Take care.
Appreciate it. Let's continue on with our calls and talk with Samantha. Samantha, you're with Allworth Money Matters.
Hi, Scott and Pat. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you, Samantha.
My husband and I have been discussing whether or not we should keep our 30-year term life insurance policies.
Okay.
Currently, we have 10 years left, and the policies are $200,000 each. We pay a total of $650 a year.
A year
A year.
on each one of them.
No, between the two. For
No,
both.
total.
Okay.
So we have, for the next 10 years, we'd be paying $6,500 for the next 10 years.
How old are you and your husband?
I'm 49. My husband's 51. We plan to retire in about 3 years. We don't have any dependents. Good health. Own our own home. Still working right now, but
and if you're let's heaven forbid your husband died today, from a financial
heaven forbid.
we're talking about life insurance. I mean, so he died. I mean, that's what we're talking about, right? If you're
yes, we are.
Yeah, that is what we're talking about. So he dies today. From a financial standpoint, would you be? How would things be for you?
From what I gather, if he dies today, because we work for the state of California, that I would be getting a monthly payment of $2,500 plus like a set $5,000, from what I understand. But that is, and that's till the day I die that I would get that monthly payment.
And both you have normal health?
Yeah, we're both in good health.
Have you shopped this at all? Did you go to
Pardon?
have you?
No, they've had it for 20 years.
No, I know, but have you gone to see what it would cost to replace it on Select Quote? My guess is it's going to be more expensive on Select Quote.
It might be more expensive today.
I mean, well, the reason that we actually had gotten these policies was back 20 years ago was when we got the home, when we purchased our home.
Yeah, I understand.
How much do you guys owe on your home?
Zero. We own it.
How much do you have in your 401ks or 457s? Between the two, yeah.
About 1.7 total.
And you both have pensions?
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
And you're both vested? Your pensions?
Yes.
Yeah, cancel.
I wouldn't have them. You wouldn't buy these today.
You wouldn't buy them. You don't need them.
I mean, the reality, life insurance is designed to replace an income stream that's tied to someone's life, right? So that either through wages or through a pension that would cease upon someone's death. But if you're both in a situation where a survivor would receive a survivor's pension benefit,
and you have that much money in your 401k or 457, and your home is paid for, and my guess is that you're saving significant amounts of money on a monthly basis. There's no need for it.
That's true.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, that's it.
Yeah, no. So even if I, let's say, kept his policy,
if you
I'd
want,
still be good.
Yeah, if you
no,
want.
I'm kidding.
If you want. Just don't tell him.
But
and actually,
no, I think
Samantha, and another day, I'll actually take 20 minutes and you can call me and I'll explain the history of life insurance.
Okay. No, I mean, you bought a term policy because you needed it for a term of your life, right? You need it for a certain period. You didn't need it. You don't want to pay for a whole life policy that's going to have to cost you a fortune, knowing the insurance company is going to pay it when you're 90 years old. So you've satisfied that period. Yeah, you just so chose to have a 30-year.
And the term is, and you achieved your objective in a shorter period of time.
Yeah, I'd cancel it.
Cancel it.
Okay.
Right.
You could choose to get a physical ahead of time to make sure there's nothing weird, but probably.
Oh. I actually didn't think of that. I mean, I was just kind of, like I said, we were just kind of discussing whether we should keep it or not, because, I mean, we're, for lack of a better way of saying it, we're thinking, why should we pay for insurance?
I mean, what's the chance of them paying it out? It's almost zero. You're paying $650 a year for $400,000 worth of life insurance. You think there's a good chance you get dying in the next 10 years? No, it's minuscule. No. You can just tell by your premiums. Yeah. So
right. But don't call them and cancel. Just quit making the premium payments.
Oh, just quit paying.
Yeah, just don't pay it anymore. Let it lapse. Yeah. That way, if something happens to you in the lapse period, you still got coverage.
That's right. Okay.
That's just squeezing the last little dime out of that thing.
All right, Samantha. Glad you called. Wish you well.
All right. Thank you very much.
Right. And that's really how you got to think about term insurance.
Yes.
About life insurance.
Well, she bought it for a 30-year term, which is the length of their mortgage, but they paid the mortgage off early.
There you go. So pay it off. Quit paying it, whatever you want to call it. Now we're talking with Tom. Tom, you're with Allworth Money Matters.
Hello, Scott. Hello, Pat.
Hi, Tom.
I'm pretty much comfortable in terms of retirement, but I have a kind of a philosophical question. Several years ago, I wanted to convert some of my IRAs to Roth IRAs, which I did. And my accountant says, well, you better be careful because he felt that eventually the government may tax the gains on those Roth IRAs. So my question is kind of a philosophical question is, do you think that's possible? And if that is possible, do you think it's a good idea to convert some of your IRAs to a Roth IRA?
Well, listen, you use the keyword gain, right?
Yes.
So I'm just thinking, of my retirement assets in IRAs, 401ks, about 10% is in Roth. Maybe it's a tad more than that, I think about it. So I converted some a number of years back. I quit converting because I live in California. When they raised the taxes yet again on me a number of years ago.
It wasn't just you, by the way, Scott.
Well, I took it personally, and I said, I'm done. I'm done converting because I don't want to give California any more.
So,
they already take
Tom, philosophically, yes, they could. How would they do that? They could do it a bunch of different ways, right?
They could look. Who knows what can happen with taxes? They right now we have a very progressive tax structure. The discussion now is it's going to be even more progressive going forward. Right? They're going to increase the amount that's given to. I mean, look, there's this. What's the minimum income? That whole philosophy of just giving everyone a check.
Oh, yes.
Whatever that's called.
They tried it in Stockton,
Where's that
California.
money come from, by the way? It comes from other taxpayers. The government doesn't have any money.
So, Tom,
they either confiscate it from taxpayers or they print it.
But it wouldn't stop me from converting a portion of my portfolio into a Roth, if that made sense.
Why wouldn't you convert all of it?
Because I like the idea of having a tax strategy behind that is diversified, much like I like a diversified portfolio. So when I think about my own tax strategy, right, you think about things in a brokerage account, which are, taxable, the gain is. You think about IRAs, which is 100% taxable, and you think about Roth, which is it's tax-free at this point in time.
Right.
If you converted all to a Roth IRA, what happens if they started actually taxing the Roth IRAs much like they did the 401ks? I don't know. I just think that with uncertainty, the more diversification you have, the better off you are.
Well, that's what I did. I agree with you, but I just wanted to see what your opinion was.
Oh, you were challenging me. You challenged me, Tom.
Well, I know your opinions are very unvarnished, and I appreciate that. So,
I mean, the reality is, look, I try to get suspect about everything. It's all about probabilities of outcome, right? We look at investments that way. We look at taxes that way. Nobody has a crystal ball. We don't know what the future tax rates are going to be, but we have a pretty good idea of what range of things might occur by looking at both history as well as other governments and seeing how their tax structures are worked. So, I mean, one way is that what if there's suddenly a value-added tax like there is in Europe, and the income taxes were reduced at the same time? That would essentially be, well, now, great, my Roth IRA, when I want to go to convert it to goods and services, I'm going to be taxed on.
But that would be considered a regressive tax.
But I mean, that's a range of possibilities. That is one way your Roth would be taxed.
Yeah, and so when you think about the tax structure as it sits today, think progressive, not regressive.
Okay.
Think it progressive. Including, it wouldn't surprise me at all in my lifetime to see a net worth tax.
No, they're already talking about that.
Yeah. Well, that was in the state of California. That wasn't a federal tax.
No, that was Elizabeth Warren was stating that. Oh, yeah, she was the wealth tax. Yeah, she had the wealth tax. So who knows what's coming. That could happen too. All right, Tom,
thanks.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for cheering me up.
Well, we're going to take a quick break here. Again, if you want to be part of the program, 833-99-WORTH. You're with Scott Hansen and Pat McClain. Allworth's Money Matters. We'll be right back.
Would you like an opinion on a financial matter you're dealing with? Whether it's about retirement, investments, taxes, or 401ks, Scott Hansen and Pat McClain would like to help you by answering your call. To join Allworth's Money Matters, call now at 833-99-WORTH. That's 833-99-WORTH.
Welcome back to Allworth's Money Matters. Scott Hansen.
Pat McClain, thanks for sticking with us.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask a favor of the podcast listeners. Will you, if you have a moment, go to where you are listening to this podcast and rate us?
Give us a review, you mean?
Review. Yes, a review. Do they rate the stars too? Don't they give stars? Anyway,
they can.
Review us. Give us a review. I can't ask for a positive review because of the industry we're in, but I assume if you've listened this far into the show that you're probably okay with it. So if you would be so kind as to give us a review, completely selfish on Scott and my part. The more reviews we get, the better the reviews. The higher you get listed in the ranks, the better your show is. There's an economic formula that's working out in my favor if you do that.
That's the important part.
I just want you to know that.
Yeah. As Pat said once, you know what? We both have a lot in common. We both want your money.
That's exactly it. So anyway, please be so kind as to.
Yeah.
And before we get started, taking the call, Scott, I did want to point out, I keep hearing ad after ad after ad for refinance your home, 30-year fixed, low interest rates. I think it's okay to refinance your loan, but don't re-amortize over to a longer time period. If you're going to refinance your loan, refinance it at a lower interest rate and keep your payments exactly the same as you were paying before so that it gets paid off sooner.
And don't take out a bunch of cash.
Please don't take off a bunch
I hear that's the worst thing. First of all, you're probably not getting the tax deduction anymore with the new limitations on the way things are, or the standard deductions. And secondly, like, you're going to buy a car and pay it over the next 30 years, a car loan or whatever. I mean, it's just, so even a kitchen remodel, it's not going to last 30 years.
Consider refinancing, but keep the term either the same amount or shorter than what you have left.
If you still have the avocado colored appliances, that might be, then maybe the kitchen remodel.
You wait 2 more years, they'll be back. You just got to wait through the cycles. I know.
Is that right? From all your kitchen remodel experience?
Oh, the skinny ties. I'm almost back in style.
The skinny ties, the cut-off ones, the
skinny ties?
knitted.
Oh, yeah, I still have those knits.
All right. And your members-only jacket.
I am the last member.
Let's head to Roseville and talk with Stephanie. Stephanie with Allworth's Money Matters.
I am calling because my mom and I actually want to know what we should do with an inheritance that is coming her way. It's going to go into her trust, and then what do we do from there?
And how old is your mother?
She is 86.
And how large is the inheritance?
We were told it's going to be $647,000.
And does your mother owe anyone any money?
Thankfully, no.
And what's your mother's financial situation look like now? Does she own a home? Does she have money in the bank or IRAs?
Yes. Yes. No home. She used to have a home, and then we moved her up here to be Ruth, actually in an apartment. And,
you know what, Stephanie?
so
your cell is just in a bad cell spot or something.
Oh dear! I'm
no,
sorry.
it sounds better right there.
Just a little bit.
Yeah,
Okay, I won't move. I won't
don't
breathe.
move around.
Left hand up.
So 647. How much money does she have in the bank?
She has total between CDs and a little bit in Vanguard and all of that, about 790.
And
So she doesn't need these dollars. These dollars will not be spent by her in her lifetime.
Not unless there's something really crazy that happens, because she also has long-term care policy. So.
And is she in? Did you say she's in a rental, or that she lives with you? What did you say?
Yes, we're all together in a rental apartment, a nice apartment.
Oh, and do you have any siblings?
I don't. I am the only child.
Who'd she inherit these dollars from?
This is from a first cousin, a senior
Oh my
citizen
gosh,
who had
wow.
passed away. I know. And had no other family left.
Wow.
I mean, she's it, and then me.
What's your mom want to do?
Well, that's why she wanted me to call you, but she said, well, we should take a vacation. So that's one thing she
Wonderful.
mentioned.
That's a
All right,
fantastic.
do that.
I don't know how far you can go with COVID, but you can go down to the.
Okay, so take a vacation. What else does your mother want to do?
To Tahoe. We'll go to Tahoe.
Okay, great.
I'm not sure, because she, we don't get too much out beyond. She's still active to a certain degree, and she's still pretty healthy. And her mom lived to an old age. So I'm hoping, she has a long time, but she's not sure because it's such a big number to her. We just can't quite comprehend. But she did say to me, I hope that with everything now, that there will be something left for your retirement. So that's something she did say to me.
So you're living with her in a rented apartment?
Yes,
that what you
we're
said?
all together.
And
That's
when you
correct.
say we, who is we?
My mom and I do have a husband,
Okay.
at least for now.
Okay. Well, no, that's real. No, let me tell you something. That's real. That is real.
Yeah, I have to say that. So, yeah.
Oh, no, that's real. Why don't you guys consider buying a house?
Well, that's what I was wondering.
A condo
Even
or
though it's so
townhouse or-
expensive.
What is
Even
it?
though
Compared
it's
to
so
what?
expensive out here.
What?
How much is rent?
Well, it's about, with the utilities and all, it's about $2,000 a month.
Why don't you look at a little condo where you can live there after your mother passes, and that you could be
Okay,
comfortable
so
living
something-
with her there, and put it in your mother's name, and
Keep it in her name.
and keep it in her name, and then have your mother do a trust for all of her assets, so that when she passes, it goes directly to you. Remember, inherited money is not community property money. It means you inherit it, not you and your spouse. And as long as you keep it separate,
Correct.
it will keep it separate
Yes.
property. And that's why, whether you were joking or not about for now, married for now, it's always
I think
separate
like getting
property.
to finding a condo or a townhouse would be ideal. And
Okay.
because so the dollars, $650,000. We do what with it? We stick it in the bank.
And
we
then
stick it.
But then there's another $790 on top of that,
Your mother's never going to spend these dollars.
right? And she has long-term care
Exactly.
insurance. So,
She does.
and presumably you do not own a house anywhere.
Correct.
Okay, yeah, go buy a house where you can take care of your mother until her dying day, and then you can live there and
And you've got long-term care insurance plus those assets. So even if you, at a point you said we need caregivers coming and going 24/7,
You're still fine.
You can afford that.
Yeah, that's
We're
where I
still
would
going to
do.
be okay.
Yeah, that's what I'd go
Okay,
with
and so
it.
even if my plans for the future, let's say in 15 years, is to live out of state, still okay to buy the house now
That's
because
right.
you're going to see the money back
15
eventually.
years.
Yeah, it's a long time, and your plans will change.
There's
in
never been a
15 years.
15-year time when property values haven't increased in California.
And your plans will
great.
change in the next 15 years. So that's the recommendation I would give you, and any one
Yep.
of the advisors at Allworth would give you.
Awesome. I so appreciate it. Thank you so much,
All right.
you guys.
Thanks
All
for
right.
taking care of your mom.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awfully nice.
Thank you. It's a blessing to me and to her. I know.
Oh,
Thank
nice.
you.
Yeah, and while she's still got the health to be able to do some traveling and stuff, make the most of it. Because actually, regardless of your age, make the most of your days. Because
who knows?
We never know. Let's now talk with Matt. Matt, you're with Allworth's Money Matters.
Hey, fellas, thanks for taking my call.
Hi, Matt.
I was hoping you. Hi. Hey, I was hoping you'd give me some direction. It's kind of a popular subject these days when I'm listening to all these podcasts that I have time to listen to. I wanted to ask a question about retirement and contributing to my 457, basically tax deferred, which I have been doing over the years, and maybe now to the Roth portion of it. So I live in Northern California. I just turned 50. Which has got me kind of thinking about this more than I ever had in the past, because I'm realizing I'm getting closer to the retirement side of my career than the beginning part of my career.
Although your best years are probably ahead of you, work-wise, but anyway, yeah.
I hope so.
I mean, unless you're digging ditches or something that's requiring a lot of manual labor, that's probably not going to be improving.
No, I can't complain. But I'm one of those guys that's always been ingrained in me that, once you started your working career, just put as much away as you could into your retirement. And that has always been, tax deferred over the last, 25 years or whatever it's been that I've been working. And just kind of put it away, forget about it, and at some point it'll pay off, was the mentality that I had always had. But then over the last few years, as I've been maxing out contributions, my employer started offering the ability to contribute to a Roth inside my 457. And I thought, that's great. I kind of know what a Roth is, but I've never really taken advantage of it. And now that I hit that magic number of 50 this last month, it got me thinking, maybe it's wise to start thinking about, I understand the tax benefit of deferred.
Well, let me ask a couple questions that will help us answer your question. Yeah. Are you married?
Yes.
And do you have any children?
I've got two.
Okay.
One's finishing up college and one's not going to college.
Okay. And what's the approximate family income?
Combining my wife and I together, it's $260 a year. $260.
And do you plan on retiring in the state of California? Do you plan on moving out once you retire?
That's a good question. I would say, to answer it, I would assume we're going to stay in California, although I'm not going to say that won't change in the next 5 to 10 years.
You'll have a pension as you 457. You work for a county or municipality of some sort?
That's correct. And I do have a pension. And my pension, I don't know if you dollars or percentage, it's going to replace about 75% of my annual. Yeah.
How much money is in your 457 now?
My 457, mine has 810,000, and my wife has one that has 50,000.
And your wife, she does not work at a state or municipality, I take it. Is that correct?
She's got a 403B.
She works at a school or a hospital.
Correct. And we think our horizon is 10, maybe 60 or 62 years old when we both want to retire.
I would probably use the Roth because I look at how much you got at age 50. Your pension's going to be 75% of your income. When you retire, you're not going to. Here's what odds are what's going to happen. You're going to retire. Right. Your pension, your 401k is going to be more than double what it is today because you're going to keep contributing to it. Now, we're at 1.6. You're probably not going to touch it. And now we're suddenly going to be required minimum distribution. And your biggest issue is going to be like, oh, crud, my required minimum distributions are going to clobber me.
But at $260,000, we're not making a tax. We're not thinking today. We're thinking 10 years, 15, 20 years out, right? Because at $260,000,
if you were $500,000 a year income, I'd probably say stick with the traditional. But at your
I agree with Scott. I do the Roth. I do the Roth.
Okay,
and what we're doing is
basically
we're diversifying a tax strategy for you. We're diversifying a tax strategy.
Okay. Yeah, because I figure kind of I need to be able to pull out of different buckets is what I've kind of understand it.
That's right.
Down the road, and I don't. Okay.
That's right.
All right.
That's right.
That was the question.
And so, will your wife receive a pension when she retires?
Yeah. So I said mine will be replaced 75%. So my wife also has a pension, and she would get 50% of her income. So between the two of us, we'd probably have about 65% or 70% of what we're used to getting.
You've done great.
Yeah. And then when you're retired, you no longer have to. You won't be saving money going into your savings once you retire.
That's right. Your kids.
No more paying into Social Security.
Your kids will hopefully be out of the way. Not on the dole.
No, that's right.
That's hypothetical, though. You know that. Well, you've done a great job saving.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Sure. Okay.
And just make sure your home's paid off by the day you retire, and you'll be fine.
Okay, so it's not, and that's
What do you owe in your home?
Can I ask? Yeah, so our home's probably worth $850, and we owe $380, and I just refinanced to a 3%, and I actually have I did it 30-year again. My thought was to get the lowest rate.
Will you retire in that house?
We will definitely keep that house. We may purchase the next house. There's other financial issues, not issues, but details that would go into that if you're interested in that. But we will hold on to that house.
Well, maybe not. It depends on what the tax looks like. So today, if you've got a lot of embedded gain in there, you wouldn't hold the house, but we're down there. So I would look at trying to amortize the payments over a 15-year period.
Yeah, so my thought, and is this a correct way of thinking? I thought keep the 30, get the lowest rate that I could get.
Right.
And if I want to make extra payments, just go ahead and pay towards
that makes
the
sense.
That
works.
100%.
That's what I've been doing.
100%.
Sounds
All right,
good, man.
Great job, Matt.
Hey, thanks, fellas.
Thank you. Glad you called.
He seemed like a nice guy. He really did. He sounded younger than he is. Didn't he sound like he was about 30? He's 50.
I don't know. And we're talking with Joe. Joe, you're with Allworth Money Matters.
Good morning. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you.
So my question is really based around Social Security, and I know this question's been asked quite a bit lately, but I'm in a kind of a, I don't want to say unique situation because we're all in a unique situation.
That's right.
Right?
Well, every situation is unique and by its nature, but
absolutely. So my wife is going to turn 59 and a half, and she has been retired now for 3 years. I'm still working. I'm only 57, and I don't plan on retiring till about 65. So is it worth for her to collect Social Security at this age?
Well, she can't until age 62.
I thought females are at 59 and a half.
Oh, no.
59 and a half is the rule. That's the age in which we can take money from our retirement accounts without any penalty. So IRAs and 401ks, 403bs, that sort of thing.
Or a widower at age 60.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No. Yeah, if you're age 60 and you've been widowed, then you can start at age 60. Otherwise, it's age 62 is the earliest. And her full retirement age is probably 66 in a few months. So she'd have a pretty significant discount.
All right. So is it worth for her to start drawing off her retirement plan that she has invested in?
Oh, well, I'll make a caveat. If there's plenty of money that you can both be, she can be afforded to retire at 59, and if you've got plenty of money and it can last your dying day, then absolutely 59 and a half sounds perfect. My concern is it's relatively young, and if there's not enough money to last, and it's still in a season while you're still working, what's going to happen with the finances when you're 65 and you're retired? What happens at age 7 when you're 70 and 75 and 80, right? And that's from a financial planning standpoint. It's really a lot of our big concern with people is like, what happens if you live too old? I mean, what happens if you make it to 95 or 100? You need to make sure you've got the finances to support those lifestyles.
And you would look at this and say, well, what is your income, Joe? And are we going to be paying taxes at a higher marginal rate than if she waited?
It would be at a higher marginal rate.
So
Absolutely.
What's your approximate income now?
About $160,000 a year.
Okay, and do you owe anyone money?
Just the 2 properties I own.
Okay, and what do you owe on them? Are they rentals, or do you consume them, or primary?
One's my primary residence. It's probably about $215K left, and the other one is a rental property, and there's probably $165K left.
And what's the interest rates on those?
Right around 3.5 to 4. I've owned them for a long time. I've refinanced them, but I haven't refinanced them lately, and I don't think I want to go through
What's
that
the rental?
anymore.
What's the rental worth?
Maybe $850,000.
And what's the primary residence worth?
1.2.
So here's what I would do.
So why, Mike? Can you not survive on your salary?
I can.
Yeah. So she should not take Social Security. She probably should not take Social Security until she's at full retirement age.
Gotcha.
Got it. And this is what I would do.
The penalty between 62 and your full retirement age, 66 in some months, is greater than I'll call it a penalty from wait until age 70, right? It's a different percentage.
How much money do you have in retirement savings? You sound like a good saver, by the way. How much money do you have in retirement savings?
You mean just
IRAs, 401ks?
Probably, 401k, probably 1.5 in savings and stock market and what have you, probably around 150.
Okay, so here's what. Do you have $100,000 in cash?
Yes.
Okay.
What's her is the primary driver on this is so she feels confident that she's got income coming in each month? Does she have her own checking account?
No, it's all joint.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the primary question about collecting Social Security, and I'm sure this is on everybody's mind, is once we hit that retirement age, if you will, and we paid into it for God knows how long, is it going to be around?
Yeah,
You might
great
as well
question.
start drawing off it before.
And it was in trouble before.
depleted.
It was in trouble before this. Now they figure that the Social Security Trust Fund might be empty in the year 2029. It was 2034. Now it's 2029. Without any adjustments to it, the way it stands now, there'd be an automatic, I think it's 21% reduction across the board, which that's not going to happen.
And we do a workshop. We do a workshop on Social Security. You can find it at our website, allworthfinancial.com, where we actually talk about what you just described, which is legislative risk. But let's leave that aside for a second, Joe. If you were sitting in an office with one of our advisors, I could just tell you flat out, this is what we would actually do right now. We would look at this, your financial situation, and we would say, okay, you've got plenty of cash. You've got a good income. Your wife has some money in an IRA, which is liquid. Why don't we take that $100,000 in cash and pay down one or both of those mortgages, right? You're not going to retire, you said, for another 8 years. So just simple financial planning. We would say, okay, you have outstanding debts of approximately $380,000 on your mortgage. Why don't we take $100,000 and apply it against that? So now you owe $280,000 on your mortgage. Amortize that over the next 8 years, refinance it into a 10 or 15-year fixed, and pay it off so that the date you retire,
You have no debt.
You have no debt. That is just, that's that. So you called about Social Security, which we appreciate the call, but you really are in a position that if you did some decent, good financial planning and looked at 8 years from now, what you're going to do today, especially in these low interest rates environment where you can get a 10-year fixed rate mortgage at less than 4%, you're going to be really, really ready for retirement. Now you got a good advisor. Age 62 comes around. Then you say, okay, this is what you should do with your Social Security, with your wife's
Maybe it
Social
makes
Security.
sense to start at that time.
Maybe not, right? But you make the decision then. But you called about a completely different subject, if you were sitting in an office with one of our advisors, I could tell you that is
actually,
the advice.
Pat, the advisors it's all Zoom now. So
Right.
I think we've probably had hundreds of Zoom meetings last week with our advisors.
So yeah, if you were sitting in your office and we were sitting in our office
on video,
this is probably the recommendation, and you want to take advantage of it now because
that's the recommendation. Just kind of top blush.
That's just a first blush,
and it might be when you do a little more analysis, do a little digging, get to understand your and your wife's goals. It might morph and do something a little different, but
that's just first blush.
You're at a stage, Joe.
Gotcha.
You're at a stage we're finding, and we're not trying to promote we try to promote our business a little bit.
Sure.
I mean, there's other great organizations out there, great advisors out there. There's a lot of lousy ones too, but I think if you met with someone who's a good certified financial planner, specialized in retirement transition, going through a process of some financial planning, I think it'd be of great value to you. It was interesting. Both Vanguard and Morningstar have done some studies on the value of quality financial advice. I'm talking about these are good quality advice, and I think I don't remember the numbers exactly. You can Google them. One is I think it's a Vanguard Alpha study, and I forget what Morningstar called theirs. But both of them showed that with the right kind of planning, an advisor can add up to 3 percentage points per year. That's not in meaning that they outperform the markets, that they can outperform the S&P 500. It's just through the right kind of planning. It's these little nuances here or there, Dick. When do we look at converting some to a Roth? Are there times when we focus on paying down the mortgage? Are there times when we look at taking out an additional mortgage for something? Are there right? How do we allocate the 401k? And we've got a break in income. We've got like a spouse here before Social Security. What's the best way to bridge that? All those various moving parts. And I really think, Joe, you're at a stage where you go through a process, do some good financial planning. I think it'll instill some confidence both with you and your wife, and with your wife being recently retired and in this whole midst, there might be. I mean, a lot of us right now don't have the same kind of confidence with our finances as we did a couple months ago. What we found and what studies have shown, right? Most of us don't, but studies have shown that when you do the right kind of planning, have the right kind of plan in place, it just that in and of itself can instill quite a bit of confidence and reduce stress and reduce worry about it.
Yeah, some good advice. Thank you so much.
All right, Joe. Glad you called. Appreciate the phone call, and hope your wife's enjoying retirement. She probably wasn't expecting to be with Joe 24/7.
Well, I don't. She might be happy about it.
Well, unfortunately, that is all the time we have today. It's been great having you with us as always. We so much appreciate you, our listeners. We really do. And if you find our show helpful, if you're listening to podcasts, forward this on to somebody so they can listen as well and be part of the Allworth Money Matters community. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
This program has been brought to you by Allworth Financial, a registered investment advisory firm. Any ideas presented during this program are not intended to provide specific financial advice. You should consult your own financial advisor, tax consultant, or estate planning attorney to conduct your own due diligence.